In the headlines, efforts underway to open the door for more females to join the ranks of the Barbados Police Service. Debate on the Appropriation Bill 2025 continues in the Upper House of Parliament. A call for greater effort to make education more accessible for people with special needs or disabilities. And in sports, St. Michael way out fronted the girls, while Lodge lead a close battle in the boys of BSAC's Blackman and Williams zone.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news at this time. More opportunities are being provided for females to join the ranks of the Barbados Police Service as part of a major expansion project at the Regional Police Training Centre. Government is injecting $10 million into the construction of 2 new dormitories to improve the centre's capacity, particularly to accommodate more females. Today, a groundbreaking ceremony was held to mark the beginning of the project at the Sewell Christchurch Centre. Our Anesta Henry was there and files this report.
Every year, qualified females are being denied the opportunity to pursue careers as police officers because the Regional Police Training Center currently only has the capacity to accommodate 23 female recruits per cohort. However, this will soon no longer be the case, as the construction of 2 new dormitories will make it possible for the center to accommodate more female recruits. Each dorm will be able to hold 30 occupants. Attorney General Dare Marshall says he suspects there will be more people wanting to pursue training at the center when the state-of-the-art facilities are completed in 9 months' time.
In our modern egalitarian society, we had to make sure that there would be equal accommodation for males and female. And the Prime Minister said, well, you got to fix this. And of course, Major Headley, always happy to face a challenge, jumped on it. And here now, perhaps 18 or so months later, we are at this location breaking ground for these new dormitories.
Mr. Marshall says he wants to see the facilities become a center for security training.
Having a physical facility that reflects modern accommodation needs opens up opportunities for us to do more training, not just for local officers and not just for recruits, but also police officers and other security personnel around the region.
The dormitories have been designed with hurricane-resistant windows, concrete roofing, photovoltaic panels, eco-friendly emergency power systems, and separate portable water storage tanks. Deputy Commandant Lawrence Collymore says the construction of the new dorms is a significant step in the development and advancement of the training center.
We are not only improving the housing accommodation for our police officers, we are also reinforcing our commitment to furtherance, equality, and inclusion within our constabulary. These new dormitories will serve as a humble place of abode for all those who will embark on training, providing them with a space to recover, recharge, and thrive in shared experiences.
The Attorney General also announced plans to demolish the former Commandant's residence, which is now a derelict building, and replace it with an executive suite. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Thanks, Anesta. Debate on the Appropriation Bill 2025 continued today in the Senate. It was there that newly appointed Minister of Innovation, Industry, Science and Technology, Senator Jonathan Reed, outlined plans for his ministry. During his maiden contribution in the Upper House, he said his ministry must build out the future economy of Barbados.
We must and will build out the future economy of Barbados. And we must and will uplift the national scientific and technological capacity of this country. None of this will be fully realized if we don't build a ministry that teams don't enjoy working in, however. We will work hard, we'll push boundaries, we'll deliver for Barbados, but we must also take care of ourselves and each other. My Permanent Secretary and I have already begun planning ways to strengthen our internal culture, more social activities, more brainstorming sessions, more internal fun competitions, more shared meals, more collective well-being initiatives. A high-performing team is a happy and engaged team, and they intend for us to be both.
Minister Reid says he supports the advancement of the youth.
I deeply believe in my heart of hearts the fastest way to break and eradicate the inferiority complex is a fundamental mind shift away from a state of scarcity to a mindset of abundance and prosperity. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, when we unlock the mindset of abundance and possibilities, we start to realize that every single textbook in Barbados has been wrong. Barbados isn't 166 square miles. Barbados is 70,354 square miles. We're not a small ocean state. We are large. We're not a small island state, pardon. We are a large ocean state.
Now, in his contribution, Minister of Educational Transformation Chad Blackman says he is open for dialogue with education stakeholders. Mr. Blackman says since taking office 3 weeks ago, he has already engaged in discussions with Ministry of Education officials, principals, and also 3 of the 5 teachers' unions on the island. He says he's ready to meet with others involved in the business of educating the nation's children and other stakeholders as government moves on with its mandate to transform the education landscape.
The point is clear, and let the message go forth that Minister Chad Blackman is open for dialogue. He's open to ensuring that all stakeholders have access to my office. Why? I am here to serve you. I'm here to serve the people because all of us in the educational ecosystem now have to chart forth a new territory, and therefore it will require all hands on deck.
Minister Blackman is also putting parents on notice that he intends to meet with them as well.
We have to also focus on the homes. And I want to say to the parents, over the coming weeks, I'll be having a series of dialogue with you. Of course, it's not possible to meet every parent in this space, but I'm going to be having a series of dialogue through videos and different means that can outline not only where we're going, but to share with them how we can get there, and for them to also send in information to the ministry, to me as the minister and my team, that allows for us to hear their views and to see how we can incorporate all of this going forward.
Independent Senator Reverend Canon Dr. John Rogers says the budget comes at a time of geopolitical tensions globally, telling country it's imperative Barbados takes note of developments. He suggests all the numbers may mean nothing in the coming months. He says the island should not cower to the ideological global fascism.
Just as the ideology of the movement in Germany of 1930s and 40s had to be opposed, this one must be vehemently opposed. If we give an inch, they will take the whole yard, because expansionism is one of their modes of operation. And I use that within the context in which Paul Keynes Douglas said that Bubsy answered the question in the Queen Show. So Bubsy was asked the question, how many feet are in the yard? And she said, it depends on how many people are in the yard. They will take the whole yard. This was the mistake that Europe made in the 1930s and 40s. We cannot afford to make this mistake now.
Government Senator Patricia Paris expects Barbadians to benefit from faster response times with the creation of the Social Empowerment Agency.
I am receiving or have received several complaints, genuine ones, from persons who go to the welfare department for assistance, and the wait time is far, far too long. To someone who is in need, desperately in need of assistance, a day is a very long time. So I am looking forward to the amalgamation of these various departments so that persons who are in need can benefit.
Well, coming up, a suggestion more should be done to make education more accessible for all. The educational sector is set to be transformed, but there's still a need to look at how to ramp up special needs and disability-inclusive education all across the island. That's according to consultant for the National Committee Monitoring the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Project, Professor Wayne Devonish. He was speaking during the presentation of Barbados's inaugural report for the United Nations to the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. Professor Devonish says many notable strides have been made for people living with disabilities, but challenges prevail in the educational sector. He says a gross deficit remains, not just for the technological and infrastructural components, but also in skill sets and competencies.
We still have issues when it comes to accessibility in our educational institutions, and not just in the public, because sometimes we place this extra spotlight in our public educational system, but our private educational system is in dire need of reform as well.
Meanwhile, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, J. Hugh Wiltshire, says the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities now shifts the perspective on disability from impairment to a social model, focusing on social barriers and societal attitudes that prevent individuals from fully participating in society.
The work that the government of Barbados is doing in relation to improving the lives of persons with disabilities is not simply or strictly based on meeting commitments to an international convention, although, as you said, Professor Devonish, that we wanted to work in such a way that we meet those international standards. But this is where, even without the convention, that we would have done anyway, simply because it is prudent and proper to ensure that we build a truly inclusive society where the persons with disabilities are fully involved in every aspect of society.
Some Christchurch residents are calling for an extension of the bulk waste collection service. This after Barbados Labour Party candidate for the Christchurch South, Senator Dr. Chantel Monroe-Knight, organized over a 2-day period for residents in the Carters A and B communities to dispose of their household refuse. Trucks from the Sanitation Service Authority were out from as early as 7:30 a.m. daily. Resident Stephen Atkins says they're grateful to Ms. Monroe-Knight for the assistance.
So far, they have took up a lot of the stuff. They ain't finished yet because they still have Enterprise B and other areas to go and surrounding areas to go. So hopefully we'll get through for the day and thing. Thanks to the Minister, Chantel Monroe-Knight. I'm thanking her from the beginning so that she would know we appreciate it a lot.
Another resident, Jan Toppin, asked for the initiative to be a recurring thing.
There's still a lot of more people that is not aware of it, so being that it's being public now, I believe that they would hear and put out whatever bulk waste that they have in the surrounding areas, and hopefully try to keep the place a little bit more tidy in the future.
Some Thorpe St. James residents were left without electricity and the use of their landlines after a container truck pulled down a pole in its wake. The main artery to parts of the island was blocked as utility crews from both the Barbados Light and Power Company and Flow Barbados were on the ground carrying out investigations with an aim to restore services. Member of Parliament for the area, Sandra Husbands, says this incident points out some of the challenges in a changing society, and she is thankful the damage was not more significant.
We're getting bigger and bigger container trucks, but our roads and our utility services were structured around the 1960s, 70s situation. And therefore the need for Barbados to change how we do things is important, but it's going to cost money. And this incident today, God was merciful, because when that pole came down, luckily no vehicle was passing at that point. I understand that a lady was passing at the time and she narrowly missed being hit by the pole.
Ms. Husband says her only concern is how soon the amenities will be restored.
It will discommode the families to be without the internet, to be without their telephone and electricity. So we're hopeful that they can quickly restore these things for the benefit of the residents.
Sports is just ahead. Time now for sport with a familiar face that's not so familiar anymore. So welcome back, Mark Seal.
Thank you very much. Looking fresh, right?
Absolutely.
Started with track and field, the St. Michael's School and the Lodge School are topping the charts after day one in the Frank Blackman and Shade Williams zone of the Powerade Dasani BSAT meet. Today at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex, SMS Cougars have so far tallied 284 points in the girls. Harrison College second on 202 and Queen's College third, 188. Now in the boys, the Lodge are out front, 203 points. AC second, 198, and QC third, 164. CBC's Anmar Goodrich Boyce reports.
Loud cheering at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex for one reason. The Powerade Dasani BSAT track action has finally started. Day one beginning with the under-20 girls 1500 meter. This is the final few meters of the bell lap, and you bet it's Ashlyn Simmons of Alexandra. No other competitor in sight. A grimacing face with the winning pace. 5 minutes, 01.43 seconds. Dania Skeet of Queen's College was second. 5 minutes, 21.60. And third went to Alexandra Zoe Thomas. 5 minutes, 38.58. Boys equivalent, 100 meters to go, and it was slightly different than the girls. Harrison College celebrate because it's a 1-2 finish. Matthew Clark, the winner, 4 minutes, 21.97 seconds. Luke McIntyre was second, 4 minutes, 24.76. And Alexandra's Dylan Headley third, 4 minutes, 36.15. On to the 100-meter sprints. Under 17 girls, section 1. Picking it up at the 50-meter mark, where Jazara Levine of Queen's College was in business mode, winning from lane 6 in 12.93. Cecile St. Clair of Parkinson was the runner-up, 13.27. And Mahila Blay of the St. Michael's School third, 13.38. Under 17 boys followed, and this book was open and shut in the blink of an eye. Look at the form from Nathan Cumberbatch, wearing the white top of the Lodge School. Class dismissed, 11.22. Josiah Gill of Queen's College was second, 11.61. And Elias Duncan of Ellerslie third, 11.86. The big girls were up next, under 20s. Third time of asking for these competitors. But nevertheless, when all was said and done, Gabrielle Pinder was picture perfect in lane number 2 for the St. Michael's School, 12.54. Keelia Hines of Queen's College was second, 12.65. And Zakaya Holder of Princess Margaret third, 13.48. Final race for tonight, under 20 boys, 100 meter. Even after 30 meters before Courage and Paris, Giovanni Lee assumed the position at the front to win in 11.32. Amari Ford of Harrison College was second, 11.43. And Ethan McCullin of the St. Michael's School third, 11.60. Day one in the bag. Tomorrow, the Frank Blackman and Shade Williams zone continues. And more Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Thanks, Anmar, and coverage of that final day in the zone will be live on CBC TV8 from 11:30 a.m. Anmar will be back later on in the sports with more BSAT. Weymouth Wales remain unbeaten and continue to top the BFA Premier League table after their latest win against Kickstart Rush. Sunday's triple header also saw the second and third placed Ellerton and UWI Blackbirds among the points. CBC's Anne-Marie Burke looks at those games.
The early game featured Ellerton in purple and Brittensill. Surely enough, the boys from St. George would take first dibs. 24 minutes in, Jaheim Headley gets the ball and buries it. Ellerton in control. But 12 minutes later, the game will be settled on even turf. Brittensill with a free kick, and it finds the head of Shaquille Boyce. The script is written.
Final score, 1-all. All it took was a single goal to settle this second game as Udai Blackbirds in the yellow were up against Paradise. And it was the Blackbirds who made the most of this corner kick. The keeper goes up, but it was Shamari Harewood with the final say. 1-0 the win to the boys from Cave Hill. Defending champions Weymouth Wales had only in the second minute put a penalty past the Kickstart rush. So this was Kickstart's response. And the long-range shot comes off the boot of Ethan Squires, and it's 1-all. But you know Wales will not rest on their laurels and stamp their authority in the 72nd minute. A bit of a scramble by both teams, but Wales took possession, and this was the goal for the win. Sliding into the left pocket is Zico Edme. Final score, Weymouth Wales 2, Kickstart Rush 1. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
And we'll have some motorsport action along with some BSAC in the second half of sport. But for now, T-Shays, back to you.
Great stuff. I look forward to that. Well, coming up next on CBC's Newsnight, the business report. You must take risks if you want to develop and grow in business. The advice comes from manager of Business Labs, Clive Andy White, who provides training services for the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme. He was addressing the graduation ceremony of the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme at the Sandals Barbados Resort over the weekend. Our Trevor Thorpe was there.
Mr. White, who was presented with the Stalwart Award, addressed the audience made up of graduates, their families, friends and officials from the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme. Speaking specifically to those about to graduate, he said absorbing the training from YES, there are additional skills they have to learn.
You have to have that passion. You can't teach it, but you can absorb it after a period of time. You can absorb it. I myself started to become more entrepreneurial by teaching business labs that you have to learn leadership. Okay? You have to change your mindset completely. That's why I try to convey it to the participants in my business labs. Okay? You've got to change your mind. You've got to take a risk. I would never think I would take a risk in my life.
Joint Master of Ceremony Rashonda Haig gave a breakdown of the contents of Business Labs.
Business Labs is like no other entrepreneurial training module. The combination of classroom-type teaching modules and discussion mixed strategically with hands-on projects, culminating with the creation of actual functioning companies, makes it almost impossible to fail. The module changes attitudes about business in general and gives participants the motivation to learn business studies in a challenging and fun-filled environment.
The group, A Taste of Barbados from Cohort 1, took one of the two prizes at stake.
This group comprised Alicia Bourne, Iman Hollinger, Denisha Springer, Sharice Gibbons, Kerwin Price, Brian Durant, Nikayla Nichols, Azipo Onifa, and Deidre Edwards.
Another group, Grounded, took the other award for Business Labs, and co-master of ceremony, Devari Springer Lewis, explained why.
This group comprised Keisha Drakes, Rhea Hines, Melanie Jules, Farhana Mohammed, Rashida Blendman, Kamika James Brooms, Shanice Yearwood, Naisha Otterson, and Micah Daniel.
Manager of the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, Ryan Mosley, had high praise for his team. He told the ceremony it was a defining moment for YES, which had pivoted well after the onslaught of the COVID-19 pandemic, but had learnt lessons that had brought mental health into sharp focus.
But in every bad situation, there is opportunity to do good, to pivot all those fancy words. And YES have indeed pivoted well. And I want to say to you that we would have instituted what we now call a health and wellness initiative, where we sat down and we decided we all want fit entrepreneurs to be successful in their businesses. But while you are physically fit, we also have to take care of your mental fitness. And hence we decided that we will create the conditions. I'm sure someone that is close to us often use that term. To ensure that we provide opportunities for our clients to benefit from interventions if they say to us and they ask for help, we would have put systems in place to ensure that we can help you with your mental challenges, with any challenges that affect your ability to perform well in your business.
87 graduates received scrolls during the ceremony. Trevor Thorpe.
Experienced banker Victor Boyce is the new director of corporate banking at CIBC Caribbean. Mr. Boyce started his banking career as a teller with another local commercial bank back in 1994. He first joined CIBC Caribbean, then CIBC First Caribbean, in 2017 as Director of Corporate Business Development for the East Caribbean and Country Head, St. Lucia. He left 3 years ago to lead another financial institution. Mr. Boyce holds a postgraduate degree in economics and finance from the University of York. He will take up the position on April 1st. And that's business. Coming up, we have weather with Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Time now for a look at the weather with Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Carrie-Ann, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Tisha, and good evening, everyone. Well, the ridge pattern is the dominant feature today in Barbados. As a result, we enjoyed mostly sunny skies. The winds across the region, they are calm to moderate, and convergence maintained isolated thunderstorms across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 30 degrees Celsius, the minimum 26 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 26 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 79%. The winds, they're now coming in from the south. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where those warm temperatures are ranging from 24 to 28 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows that it is relatively dry across most of the islands except for St. Lucia, and the winds, they are calm to moderate across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the ridge pattern was the dominant feature. As a result, we had dry and stable conditions. It was mostly sunny here in Barbados. Now, those winds, they are now calm to moderate across the islands. The seas smooth to moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 2 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution, especially along the western coastlines. Now, later on tonight, we can expect mostly clear skies, along with just a few light showers. Further south, convergence maintained cloudy skies, along with some isolated thunderstorms across the Guianas. Over now in the Western Caribbean, a cold front maintained some early morning showers over the Bahamas as well as Jamaica, and that should be Cuba. Elsewhere had some afternoon showers across those sections. Now that's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 2 minutes after 6. It will set at 9 minutes past 6. Now, the first high tide, that's expected at 3 minutes after 6 in the morning, low tide at 12:48 in the afternoon. The seas, smooth to moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 2 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution along the west coast. Now for us, the winds first, well, they're coming in from the east-southeast up to 30 kilometers per hour. Now for us here in Barbados, later on tonight, we can expect mostly clear skies along with just a few light showers. And over the next 3 days, well, fair to partly cloudy skies along with only a few passing showers can be expected.
Well, Mark is back with more sports, as promised.
As indeed. Track and field coming up next, but first up, motorsport. Dane Skeet, behind the wheel of his Subaru Impreza S12 WRC, drove away with the Motoring Club of Barbados, Inc., Barbados Rally Club, Spring Blaze event. This was on Sunday. With the action is CBC's Anne-Marie Burke.
It was the rev of engines and the smell of exhaust that filled the air from Kendall Woods to Cherry Grove in St. John as the Spring Blaze event brought up some of the usual suspects of local motorsport. Representation was across all classes, with fans treated to the usual action that makes it the place to be on a Sunday. And before we get to the top 5, here are some of your group winners. Best in Modified 2 was Neil Corbin in his Toyota GT86 CSR3. Fastest in Super Modified 1, Edward Corbin, with the Atsu Sharman is still in top order. Kurt Thompson topped Group M4 in the very recognizable Glasesco Mitsubishi Evo 9. And on to our top 5, all the cameramen anticipating their arrival. Rhett Watson 5th overall and tops in Super Modified 2. In 4th, the Jamaican who loves Barbados, Jeffrey Panton. The Skoda Fabia FIA R5 is always among the big boys. Just ahead of him for 3rd, his countryman Kyle Gregg, steering his Ford Fiesta Rally 2 to a fastest time of 2 minutes 21.33 seconds. 2024 champion driver Stuart Maloney is making his statement early, finishing in 2nd, 2 minutes 20.96 seconds. And your winner, the Subaru Impreza S12 WRC, is simply unstoppable. Fastest time, 2 minutes 20.75 seconds. Dan Skeet is the man. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. BSAC 2025 is in full flight, and tonight's athlete in the spotlight is aiming to become the fastest schoolgirl in the country.
It's time for Athlete in the Spotlight, where we take a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Powerade Dasani BSAC Championships. Last year, she claimed the title of fastest schoolgirl in Barbados, and her school went up and on to be crowned double BSAC champions. Of course, I'm speaking about Combermere's Alika Herwood. And while she enjoyed a stellar 2024 season, she says 2025 started a bit tough.
It's been a bit challenging, especially in my hurdles, the event I really wanted to qualify for. The 100 has been coming along pretty good, dropped my time, PB a lot, and the hurdles was a bit challenging at first, couldn't get it together, but then finally got it together at the last meet, and I'm grateful for that.
With the BSAC Championships already started, Herwood is looking forward to her battle with Anaya Nurse.
At BSAC, I just want to, retain that title of being the hurdle queen and drop my time in the hurdles. And also would like to retain the title of fastest schoolgirl. I know it's going to be a bit challenging with Anaya, but I think if I give my best, I got it.
Herwood has qualified for this year's Carifta Games in Trinidad and Tobago after missing last year. And she speaks about how much of a learning curve it was.
Let's talk about Carifta now. Obviously, you missed out last year. You went in 2023, missed last year, and you've qualified now in 2025. What did you learn from not going last year?
It was a bit, disappointing, knowing that I was only presented the opportunity once to go because I wasn't fit to go to Grenada, or I didn't get the time at BSAC. It was pretty close, but missed the opportunity, and that just drive me to work harder so that I can make it this year.
So you would say that last year has helped you in terms of that motivation this year, because it seems like we've seen a different Alika here. What has changed?
My mentality, I would say, going towards training, a bit more serious, and just working hard for what I want. For Carifta, I really, really want to get on the medal podium and drop my time to 13 points.
Our athlete in the spotlight is Alika Herwood. That was your athlete in the spotlight, where we took a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Powerade Dasani BSAC Championships.
And remember, BSAC on TV8 from tomorrow again, 11:30 a.m. Tisha, is back to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Mark. We'll return after this break. Well, thanks for spending your time with us. So on behalf of the entire crew, do enjoy the rest of your evening.